Mara Vance, Ilrex murmured, his voice translating into her earpiece with clinical calm.
Do you hear anything when they approach you? She hesitated.
Yes, she said carefully. But not with my ears.
Ilrex's hands trembled. That reaction alone told her she had said too much. But it was already too late. They moved her to a sealed wing of Bastion Station. Guards watched her at all times. Every interaction was recorded. Every word analyzed.
The monsters brought to her grew larger,
deadlier,
smarter,
and every single one responded. Some followed commands. Some asked questions. That was the moment Mara broke. The first time a monster spoke, not in sound, but in meaning, she collapsed to her knees, shaking. We have waited, the presence said.
Waited for what? She whispered.
For the shepherd.
The word echoed through her mind like a bell tolling across centuries. But that was only the beginning.
Ilrex uncovered the truth by accident.
Hidden deep within archived Velothi records was a forbidden hypothesis, one that had been dismissed as myth. The monsters were not invaders.
They were soldiers. And they had been left behind.
Long ago, an ancient civilization known as the Architects had created biological weapons to enforce galactic order. These creatures, hunters, predators, nightmares, were designed to obey a specific command frequency.
A living key.
The Architects were gone. But the key was not.
It had been dormant. Reborn. Human.
Mara Vance was not failing to become a hunter. She was becoming something else entirely.
And the galaxy was not ready.
The mid-story revelation came with a betrayal. Earth's leadership demanded Mara be weaponized.
Controlled.
If she could command monsters, she could end wars overnight.
Ilrex argued against it. He lost.
Mara overheard the order as soldiers moved in, restraints humming with energy meant to suppress her mind. Fear flooded her, not of death, but of becoming what they wanted her to be.
A leash. A god. A monster.
When they tried to bind her, the station shuddered. Every containment cell ruptured at once. Thousands of creatures turned as one.
Toward her.
Stop, Mara cried, tears streaming down her face.
They did.
And that was when Earth realized it had already lost control. The final confrontation wasn't a battle.
It was a choice.
The monsters did not want destruction. They wanted purpose.
Direction. An end to endless waiting.
Ilrex stood beside Mara as Earth's fleet aimed weapons at the station. If you leave, he said softly, you cannot come back. Mara looked at the creatures surrounding her. Beings once called abominations, now silent, patient, hopeful.
She thought of the failed hunter class. Of being told she was nothing. Of being wrong.
I was never meant to hunt them, she said. I was meant to lead them.
She stepped forward. The rifts opened.
And the monsters followed. Years later, children across the galaxy would hear stories. Of the girl assigned to fail. Of the shepherd of monsters. Of the war that never came because someone chose understanding over fear. And on quiet nights, when the stars seem to watch a little closer than usual, some swear they can feel it.
A presence. Protective. Waiting.
Because the monsters never forgot who first spoke to them as something more than targets. And Mara Vance never forgot what it meant to be told you were worthless.
Right before you changed everything.
The first monster knelt before her while the instructors were still laughing. It wasn't supposed to happen.
Not here.
Not to her. Not to anyone assigned to the failed hunter class. The creature's body was a mess of black chitin and glowing veins, taller than any human, its mandibles still dripping acid from the last cadet it had torn apart in the arena hours earlier.
Every protocol said it should attack on sight.
Every simulation said it would kill her in under 3 seconds. Instead, it lowered its head. And waited. For a moment, the entire training dome went silent. No alarms, no shouts, no mocking laughter from the observation deck. Just the sound of her own heartbeat pounding in her ears. Mara Vance didn't know why the monster obeyed her. But she knew one thing with absolute clarity. Her life was about to become very dangerous. They called it the failed hunter class because no one assigned to it was expected to survive long enough to graduate. On a ruined Earth where the sky was permanently stained with orbital debris and alien warlight, humanity had learned one brutal truth. Monsters were real, and they did not care about human laws, borders, or morality. They came through rifts, Tears in space left behind by an ancient alien civilization that had vanished long before humans learned to crawl out of gravity wells. The monsters followed no logic humans understood. So humanity created hunters. Children tested at birth. Teenagers trained to kill things that broke physics. Adults burned out or dead by 30. The successful ones became legends. The rest became warnings. Vance was never meant to be a hunter. Her aptitude scans were inconsistent. Her neural response lagged during combat sims. Her weapon synchronization was below average. And worse, much worse, her biosignature didn't match any known hunter profile. When the assignment algorithm finally spat out her result, the holographic text hovered over her wrist implant like a death sentence. Failed hunter class. Unit 7. The instructors didn't even try to hide their disappointment. Some of the other cadets laughed. Others looked away. Mara said nothing. She had learned long ago that silence hurt less than hope. But that was only the beginning. Unit 7 trained in the lower levels of Bastion Station, a massive orbital fortress chained above Earth like a watchful god. While elite cadets sparred in gravity-controlled arenas and tested experimental weapons, Unit 7 cleaned blood from floors and practiced drills everyone else had mastered years earlier. They were the broken ones. The leftovers. Those whose only real purpose was to delay monsters long enough for real hunters to arrive. Mara trained harder than anyone. Not because she believed she would succeed, but because she refused to die screaming. At night, she dreamed of the rifts. Endless black wounds in space, pulsing like living things. She dreamed of whispers she couldn't understand and eyes watching her from the dark. She never told anyone. No one would have listened anyway. And then came the Live Hunt evaluation. That was when everything went wrong. The creature released into the dome was classified as a Ripper-class predator. Fast, armored, and known for psychological hunting patterns. It had already killed 3 cadets in previous trials. The instructors expected Unit 7 to fail spectacularly. They weren't wrong. Within seconds, 2 cadets were injured. One panicked and fired wildly, hitting nothing. Another froze completely. Mara moved without thinking. She dropped her rifle and stepped forward. Gasps rippled through the observation deck. Someone shouted to pull her back. Another instructor laughed and turned away. Mara raised her empty hands. The monster lunged, then stopped. It sniffed the air, massive head tilting as if confused. Its glowing eyes locked onto hers, and something passed between them. Something invisible but undeniable. Mara felt it like a pressure behind her eyes. A pull. A recognition. "Kneel," she whispered, not knowing why. The monster obeyed. What I saw next changed everything. By the end of the day, the video had leaked. By the end of the week, the galaxy was watching. The official explanation was classified interference. Experimental pheromones. Unknown neurological anomaly. Anything except the truth. Because the truth terrified them. Every monster brought near Mara responded the same way. Some growled in confusion. Some lowered their weapons. Some simply stopped, as if waiting for instruction. They followed her. Not because she was stronger. Not because she was smarter. But because, somehow, they recognized her. None of the scientists could explain it. And that was the problem. Dr. Ilrex watched from behind reinforced glass, his 4 eyes narrowing in calculation. Ilrex was not human. He was Velothi, one of the few alien species allied with Earth after the rift collapse. His people had studied monsters for centuries, cataloging their behaviors, dissecting their biology, failing again and again to control them. Control was impossible. Until now.